Hey, everybody, this is Dr. William Clark here for Leadership Conversations. This is the show where we talk about leadership according to the world that matters to you. And I wanted to quickly talk with you today about taking advice. Now, I hope that you process this particular podcast because a lot of young emerging leaders come into their leadership believing that they should have the answer to problems that pop up. And there is a generation of the workforce that was taught that before you take a problem to your supervisor or to those above you or your stakeholders or partners, that you should come with a solution. And let me just say that there's a difference between finding a solution to a problem and not taking advice to help you find the solution to the problem. Okay. Now, I think it's healthy to be the one that says, I'm going to find the solution before I raise a problem to anybody. And if I need help finding that solution, here's the caveat: I'm going to seek out wise counsel or advice. And this particular podcast speaks to the importance of taking advice. Now, there are people in our lives that we should rely upon and speak to get the advice that we need on a regular basis. So here's the first tip I want to share with you, and that is you should be talking to the pillars in your life who are solid mentors, who are people who have given their all to the industry or given their all to the work that you are familiar with, and do they know exactly what you're going through. This has been a theme in our podcast the past couple of episodes because it's important to have people in your corner who completely understand what you're dealing with, what you're going through, what you're thinking about, what you're experiencing, and they need to be able to speak into your life as much as possible. This includes your work life, this includes your personal life, this includes every area of your life that requires decision making and processing. So you want to talk to the pillars in your life and make sure that you include them in the thought process and in taking advice. Now, this also means that there are people in your life who are not considered pillars. The question you may be asking me is, what's a pillar? Well, a pillar, according to this podcast series that we've been on, are people in your life that you trust, people that can speak into your life, people that you relate to, people that can share with you context of ideas and information, and you listen to them, you trust them. Pillars in your life are people that have standing in your life. There are a bunch of people who are in your life that don't have any standing. They don't have any respect from you, etc. But the pillars matter a lot. Now, here's a second thing you might want to consider when you're taking advice. Listen for relevant terminology. Okay, even if you're not listening to pillars in your life, but you're seeking advice from people who are in the same industry, who understand what you're going through, you want to listen for similar terminology. The reason is similar terminology is kind of a dog whistle to say, hey, I've been there, done that. I know what's happening. Right. So if you come across somebody that says, hey, I'm in the same industry as you, but they don't use the same terminology or language, or they don't speak about the same experiences, then they really can't give you advice and you know not to listen to them. But there are people who can say certain things about the industry that you are a part of, and you know, yeah, you've been there. Yep, you know what it's like. Yep, you may live in a different state, different city, you may work for a different company, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. So listen out for relevant terminology that will speak to your situation. Third, align advice that you receive with the situation. Now, people are notorious for giving you ideas and advice, and sometimes it just seems out of nowhere, right? For you, the one that's listening to the advice, it's important for you to overlay that advice with the scenario that you're struggling with. And you need to do that overlay so that you know that this advice has relevance to what you're experiencing and can help you process what you're experiencing. Okay. So you need to do that alignment, and it ultimately should lead to a connection. If you don't see a connection with the advice, then it's not the right advice. And number four, this is important for you, and this requires some humility. You need to embrace the aha moments so that you can grow. Aha moments are those moments when you finally got the answer to the problem, when somebody said something that really opened the doors, opened your eyes, provided insight, and you say, aha, now I understand. Now I get it. Embrace those moments because that humility says, thank you to the person that was speaking to you and sharing with you. That humility lets you know that you are still a work in progress and that you have a lot to learn. That humility lets you know that maybe you found a new trusted resource, a new pillar in your life that can speak to your situation. That aha moment is critical for your growth. And I encourage you to embrace it. So at the end of the day, you can get a whole lot of advice, and quite frankly, that advice may not be relevant at all for what you're going through. So you got to make sure you get good advice from good resources so that you can advance your leadership day by day. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Subscribe to us in this podcast utilizing your favorite platform. This is Dr. William Clark for Leadership Conversations, and we'll see you in the next show.